and the people who are naturalists or they couldn't compete.
Right.
So it's the same thing with sports. There comes a time. I mean, we get older.
Okay. Well,
have to,
not to cut you off,
Mhm.
but to your point, to make a point of clarification, if not qualification, you gotta make sure that we talk about the fact or enter the fact that in professional bodybuilding there are distinct groups. I mean, there is the professional and there is the amateur, and they do not compete against each other. Am I correct with that?
Well, they have natural bodybuilding,
Right. Okay.
and the quote unquote professional.
Okay. So remove my word amateur.
Yeah.
Replace it with natural.
Yeah.
And then professional. What is the catchword for that?
Drugs.
Well, by way of distinction, certainly enough. But what would be the term that they use to distinguish those that are legally, it's okay. What is the distinction for those groups?
I don't think it's okay. It's like an unwritten rule, or it's not talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just accepted.
Okay.
That you're gonna juice, or who's on the juice and who's not. You can see the acne and
right.
The women talking like this.
Right, but there is a distinction, at least in weightlifting, bodybuilding, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do discern between those that are using and those that are not. Now, in other sports, there is no distinction,
Mm-hmm.
and so as you brought up, JD, that people are always looking for an edge.
Right.
And but then past that, people are looking to preserve their physicality. And so it begs the question, what kind of message, if these things are made legal, or if these things are made further illegal.
Well, like you said with the operative word, the message, because you have a lot of these young kids coming up, and they feel as though like, hey, if he's doing it, like Jose Canseco, if he's doing it, it must be okay.
And a lot of people are doing it based off of they're looking at their idols and
right.
they're injecting and taking a lot. They're going online, they're finding stuff that's not even pure, and they're hurting themselves.
So that's a hell of a point that Andre brings up, people, because if they legalize this, then it becomes a question of access. Who gets better access to the better product? And if you're a child, if you're a 16, 17-year-old, you're looking to make the varsity squad, want to earn a scholarship to college, you may not be able to afford the good stuff.
Right.
The Sylvester Stallone stuff.
Wow. Yeah, but now you're in the age now, like you said earlier, you can go on the internet, man, and you can just about get anything, man, because there's so much stuff out there.
Okay,
man.
but you're a kid, right? And you have a computer at home, but you have nowhere to have it delivered. Number one, number two, you don't have a credit card. So what do? You might you might go to the gym, you might go to the training facility. There's gonna be a guy there that may tell you to meet him in the back of the locker room.
There you go.
He's gonna sell you a vial of this, a syringe of that. How do we know that our kids are that generation who may now have legal access to the use of these PEDs, but the acquisition of such is where it can become illegal.
Right.
It's no different than the chicks getting butt injections, sticking cock in there. I mean, at some point you have to say, all right, enough's enough. Because if they make it legal, then what's the next step? Then you're getting into bionics and robotics and
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Indra. I mean, obviously we're talking about the demands that are placed upon professional athletics by the consumership. As we alluded to before, chicks love the long ball. We saw the reemergence of baseball as America's quote-unquote pastime. Of course, that is, that's been wiped away over the last couple of years. As the long ball has not been as common as it was during the days of the Bash Brothers. But what is next? I mean, the fans are pushing for faster, stronger, farther, higher.
Even like in the NFL, more violence, man. So those guys, man. I think a lot of them are juicing, man, because you can't hit anybody at that speed and that rate and not feel anything. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like.
Well, so then it begs the question: are people using things like HGH and steroids for recovery purposes? Because one can argue, and it has been argued, that the use of performance-enhancing drugs is as equally beneficial in its reparative aspects. Okay.
Right.
Conversely, in terms of its performance-enhancing, one can say, well, look, more people are going to get hurt if they are not using performance-enhancing drugs at this level.
But look at the results of it as well, because the psychological aspect. How many football players and athletes have killed themselves or developed brain issues.
Lau Alzado, remember him?
Yeah. And so if you're taking these drugs, not only the enhancements, but the painkillers on top of it. So you got to wonder where the line is drawn.
Yeah, you got to draw the line. There's more natural ways to do stuff.
Can I cut in just with
certainly not?
Because you hit a point about, I mean, is it all about, it comes down to money. It's coming back to, in baseball, you got to have home runs. In football, you got to have the big yard plays. In basketball, the fantastic dunks. So it's really the money or the fans want to see all this. So that's why players are taking this stuff. So will it get to a point where let players take what they want to take? Because if everybody on it, then the performance of the game will be much more.
It's the only way to keep that
But
playing
then, Andre,
field.
you touched on the risk factors at the end. Because people are dying using this stuff after. Once your career is over, your life is pretty much over in some cases.
Much.
So, it's always going to be a slippery slope on that.
Well, in terms of post-career, obviously these guys have not managed their careers from an economic standpoint, from a fiscal standpoint. They may not be able to afford the enhancers that they have used to maintain their career.
Right.
But I was listening to sports radio the other day, and one of the points they were making was, if people stop taking the PEDs, if people are no longer taking them, will there then be more injuries at that point if people stop taking them?
Yeah,
I don't think that there'd be more injuries. I think it would just go back to the way it was when people were regular.
I think the game will slow down.
Well, okay, what happens, if you have performance enhancing, you have, take for instance, by way of illustration, a guy can jump 40 inches, right? Performance enhanced for inclusion, he jumps 46 inches.
Right.
Okay. Now we see the material benefit of a gain of 6 inches in vertical lift, but what is not taken into consideration is the fact that individual's knee joints are going to be stretched beyond their capacities because his knee joints were not made for him to leap 46 inches; they were made for him to leap 40.
Right.
So if he stops taking the performance enhancers, then he's not going to be jumping as high.
But he'll be saving his body.
But he'll be saving his body in the long run.
And then we're looking at natural ability coming back. People can be appreciated for being a little extra. If everybody's extra, you got to constantly push the limit.
Push the
If everybody's Michael Jordan, there's nothing special about being Michael Jordan.
Right.
Very good point.
Right.
Very good point.
Yeah.
But so going back, that if everybody's Michael Jordan, everybody just have the ability. But the thing is, in sports, and we all play sport, it's the passion and it's the heart and it's the determination. So it doesn't make it like Jordan could have played against people who was juiced up. Did that make them better? And when you look at some of these sports, it's juiced up people playing against people who not juiced up, but that don't mean they're winning. That don't mean they're getting all the accolades. So it's still what's inside of you to even make that,
And to touch on that point, to touch on Michael Jordan, whatever happened to hard work, Mike was just, he worked at it, man. I've never known him to shoot up anything.
Okay, okay. Now we as we speak about, we're talking about basketball in particular. But if we include, let's maintain our inclusion of basketball and baseball and football and MMA, because these are all sports in which we do have the issues of performance enhancing usage.
Right.
What is it's.
Well, look
at
at
too much in the NBA though.
Not so much in the right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something going on, but you don't hear about it.
It's not a plague of the NBA.
Well, look at what really brought it to the forefront. The Olympics. Ben Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Flojo. These people, they're questioning their ability. 1 minute you lose, and the next you leaving people.
Right.
Exactly. Running like a horse.
Okay, but along those lines, you have to take into consideration one thing in particular. First and foremost, if we're looking at basketball, football, and baseball, right, and performance enhancing usage, and Micah brought up the point that, it was brought up to the point that, one using PEDs does not necessarily mean that you're going to thoroughly outdistance your counterparts who may be all natural. But in the consideration of team sport, that is something where your PED usage may in some way be not devalued, but maybe diluted because the differential may not be as great. But Andre, you bring up a hell of a point in mentioning usage in track and field by way of his illustration, Ben Johnson. What we see, the use of PDs is more dramatic in individual sports.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps the policing of such might be more something that could be more akin to individual sport, like your track and field,
Right.
or your weightlifting, or your combat sports like boxing or MMA.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Football.
if
Yeah,
you're
that's-
playing football, it's 11 dudes.
But even with football, steroids are credited to rage. You know, it changes you psychologically.
Right.
Right.
So you got a couple guys who are juiced up. They going out there and it just that clicks in. They might give a cheap shot. You have more fights. It becomes more violent.
Right.
It's not about the game being played. It's about the violent contact. Man.
Okay, you know what? Along those lines, you know, and the one thing people here at Fourth and Goal TV that you know, myself and my co-host really enjoys the fact that we're able to take these situations and take them in many different directions. Now, Andre, you bring up the point about violence and whether or not the use of PEDs and the inclusion of steroids and testosterone therapies can increase one's level of violence. What I will ask you to comment on, I will make the assertion that there has not been such concern for the use of PEDs in the sport of hockey, which is rampant with violence.
It's just like the fight.
It's the fight game on ice.
Exactly.
Now, why has it not been suggested that there needs to be a policing of PEDs, which may or may not be in existence in the NHL? But you know, I don't know, and we could actually address that when we return from our break.
Right. You ever been to a hockey game?
I've yet to witness a hockey game live.
I've been to like a couple, and I didn't see a fight, and I was upset.
Were
Isn't
you-
that a shame?
Did you go during the playoffs?
No, it was regular season,
was
but they still get it in.
And they didn't fight that
I
night you were
didn't,
there.
I didn't see a fight, and I was upset. But see the type of thinking, you know.
Yeah.
And plus, I don't understand the sport, but
You know
wanna see
what?
a fight.
As we go into break, I'll tell you what. If you have brothers out there with 6 foot long sticks with blades on their feet,
They
and
were banned fighting for sure.
they were.
oh yeah, the guy that the black guy
really
that got hit with
easy.
the stick. You remember that incident? The guy that got hit with the hockey stick was a black guy. I think he played for the I don't know, one of the Canadian teams or for the Boston.
The Boston Bruins would be
Yeah, I
Brashear.
remember. Yeah, he got hit with a stick.
But bear in mind, Brashear is a goon. He is a henchman by way of profession. Hockey teams do have 1 or 2 players whose position it is
To be a
to
goon.
be intimidators
Wow.
and riders. So you have people that ride shotgun for the stars on a team, and very often, if you intimidate a star from the team, the guy who rides shotgun will, of course, exact a untimely revenge on the opposition.
Incredible.
So people, we are going to go into this break. We'll be right back. Join us and continue with us as we enjoy Might As Well by Raven Justice, who will take us to the break. We'll be right back momentarily.
This is a jam. I like this.
We got off on a good one on that one.
And y'all gonna go back to Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah, we definitely.
yeah. We need to get a week.
Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's bogus. I'll wait till we get on the
Yeah. That was
So you guys want to go into that, and we'll.
Are they gonna go 2 hours? You guys gonna go to 2 hours? Oh,
You want to do next week? Maybe.
Well, Byron Scott is the coach of the Lakers, new coach of the Lakers, and we haven't touched that since we're in LA. And of course, Sterling. So,
Yeah, you know, I tell you, man,
you got a lot of stuff.
yeah, that's stuff to cover.
Oh wait, okay, we got.
No calls yet? Thanks.
on there.
Well,
On,
You guys hear about the 2 players from Texas, the 2 Longhorns? Another,
number rape case. Wow.
Brothers,
huh?
Two on one.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? I think I did see something about that. I thought it was the same one from before, but it's a
One guy was a redshirt freshman, one guy's a junior, and they were suspended by Charlie Strong, new coach. Strong has already kicked off like 4 other players. What happened? He's kicked off 6 players already since he was named head coach, new coach.
Wow. Well, that's a lot to talk about right there.
You know, when you get a chance to do that, next week we're gonna start putting you on PS4.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can. So you ready for that one?
Mm-hmm.
No, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you send that email?
No.
Oh, okay.
Back up in 10, right?
Okay. We are right back with you here on 4th and Goal, and feel free to give us a call, 661-312-8580. You just enjoyed Might As Well by Raven Justice, taking us through our break. We're right back at you. Now, people, we just left a discussion regarding violence, PD use, brothers in hockey. You see what I'm saying? That's a short discussion.
Very short.
But
Very short.
we have a couple announcements that we're going to get at real quick before we return to what we opened our show tonight with. Real quick, Team USA in preparation for the FIFA World Cup, FIBA World Cup taking place in Spain. That's basketball for people. Blake Griffin out definitely.
Yeah, what's up with the broken back, man?
Broken back.
Broken back.
Broken back.
Yeah.
Not totally.
Not totally.
He's
but
not like, he's just a back, maybe like a back fracture or back problem, right?
Like,
Muscles.
yeah, they talking like he had like that's what they were saying.
Yeah, broken back issues.
How did it happen?
It happened sometime in the playoffs.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
did
not
he
sure.
injure it during the Olympic? Because he on the